Hello ladies and gents, hope you're all well. This video is all about Linda. Basically, I wanted to dedicate a video to Linda and share a lot of the memories that she shared with me. A lot of which is actually some quite interesting history really. This is Linda's memorial card from her funeral. And as you see in the middle there is Linda herself. This is Linda in the 1970s. And she loved this picture of herself. There was one picture of Linda as an older lady which she destroyed because she didn't like the way she looked when she was older. She went, look at my fucking ankles and my feet. She went, I used to have a size 7 foot. She went, now look at them, they're like elephants. So yeah, that was one of the things. Bless her, she was funny. And she was a warts and all kind of person, Linda. She said, she spoke about things like this once. She went, oh, it's one thing I can't stand when someone's gone and everyone turns them into a fucking angel. She went, you tell people I was a crotchety old cow a lot of the time. She went, but we had some good laughs as well with Linda, but with the crotchety old cow thing, she went, ha. She went, that comes as a privilege of old age, being crotchety. So yeah, but we had some laughs as well. So yeah, this video is dedicated to Linda Ann Theobald, 19th of March 1946 to the 9th of August 2023. And the main reason for this video is because when I was younger, someone once said to me, oh, it's a terrible thing to be forgotten when you're gone, boy. And Linda won't be forgotten, I know that, but this video in part ensures a little bit of that as well and passes on those memories. I knew Linda for 15 years personally on a one-to-one level. I knew her for longer because my sister lived in the flat next door to Linda before us, and then we moved in, so yeah, knew Linda a long time. But Linda absolutely loved this picture of herself. She went, oh, I loved my hair when it was that colour. But when I first met Linda, when she was in her late 50s, her hair was like a very bright reddy chestnut colour. So she did like her hair colours, Linda. So yeah, we're going to go on with our story about Linda's life now, and I'll share with you the memories that she shared with me. So off we go. Linda was born on the 19th of March 1946 at number 33 Bison Road, Stratford, London E15. This picture from the 1920s, she was stunned and chuffed when I showed her this. I found the picture because when she said to me where she was born, looked into a few bits and bobs on her family for her that she asked me about, and I found this photo and thought, I'll show her, I wonder if she'll recognise it, and showed her. I went, do you recognise this? And she went, blimey. She went, I was born there. She went, that's where we grew up. The upstairs one, because they're 2 up, 2 downs. So this is it in the 1920s. But by the time Linda was born, all the fancy iron railings and gates had been taken away as part of the war effort. Yeah. And she said, cool, some of my memories there, she went, they were nice old houses in some sense, she went, but because of the bomb sites and everything, what had happened, and after the war, London was a bit of a grubby, rough and ready place. You'd lay in bed in the upstairs room and you'd hear rats running along the guttering at the top, hoping that they wouldn't come in through your window. And because of the bomb sites, you'd get very, very big spiders coming, and Linda was a lifelong arachnophobe. She was terrified of spiders. She rang me at 7 o'clock in the morning once to come and remove a spider that was dangling from the ceiling above where she slept. She went, I can't stay in there with you. So yeah, she didn't like spiders. The rats didn't bother her. And she went, I bet they're long gone now, these houses, aren't they? And I went, no, Lynn, look, green door, number 33, it's still there. She went, well, fuck me. And that was Linda. And because she was a no holds barred person, and I want to put her personality across as she was. She went, well, fuck me. She went, I thought they would have been taken down long ago. She went, and they're still 2 up, 2 down. She went, oh, blimey. She went, I thought they would have been gone years ago. She went, I don't like the walls and that. She went, the fences look better from the earlier picture. I went, yeah, they took it all away from the war effort and barely used any of it. So, yeah, this is Bison Road, where Linda's life began in her early childhood. The church that the family used was Bow Church at Bow. Linda's parents married there. Both of Linda's brothers were christened at Bow Church. By the time Linda was born, this church had been bombed during the war. See, Linda just missed the war. Her older brother, particularly Stan, he would have remembered the war, going down into war shelters and things like that, and Linda always said, I'm fucking glad I missed that. She went, I wouldn't have liked that at all. She didn't cope well with stress or anything like that, so She she was a post-war baby. But by the time she was due to be christened, this on the left is what the church looked like, a ruin. So Linda had to be christened in a temporary church building that was being used by the church at the time. And that christening took place on the 29th of March 1946, so just 10 days after her birth. It's quite common to have a child christened within 10 to 14 days of its birth in those days. And Linda, interestingly enough, she told me she was born premature. She was born a bit early as well, a bit of a weakling when she was born. So she grew into a good, strong girl. So this is the earliest bits of Linda's life. But Linda's early childhood memories, she did remember post-war Stratford. And this image and the next one you're going to see are wartime and post-war Stratford. This is post-war with the bomb sites, and they was around for years, right up until the 70s. A lot of them were. This one that we're seeing here is taken during the war, literally just after a raid. And this is what Linda's parents, I mean, Linda's dad was away fighting in the war, but this is what her parents would have had to cope with. I mean, this is Linda's dad, Stanley. I've got no, I couldn't find any pictures of Linda's mum. But yeah, so that was the early part of the lives, really. Stanley came back from the war and Linda was born in 1946. Stanley here, I wanted to show his image because these men fought for our country. He fought a hard war in Burma. He fought along with the Gurkhas, and he had an immense respect for those men, an immense respect for them. They kept them alive. Stanley had dysentery while he was over in Burma during the war. He was very ill, and then years later he had a relapse of it. He was really taken ill. And I'll have to tell you this because it is funny. Linda rang the doctors up, and it was their first Pakistani doctor. He went, "Can you bring her down?" She went, "He's got fucking dysentery, you idiot." She went, "There'll be shit everywhere." He went, "Oh, okay." So they sent Doctor, I think he's, oh God, what was it? Dr. Derrywimple, I think she always called him. She said he was like a doctor in the Clover type doctor, but he knew his onions. So yeah, came in, sorted Linda's dad out. But I laughed when she told me that, because that was just, I could just imagine it, exactly what she would have said. Yeah, that's the wartime and post-war. And one of Linda's earlier and happy childhood memories is when Linda's mum, Anne, would take Linda and her brothers round to her grandparents and Anne's parents. And Linda never really knew her grandfather's name, because her grandparents called each other Mum and Dad. And she only ever heard anyone call her granddad Mr. Sharpen. But she thinks his name was William. Now, her nan, I know her name was Anne or Annie, because Linda always called her Nanny Annie. And I saw a picture of Linda's nan once, and the resemblance between Linda and her nan was absolutely remarkable. But yeah, this is the Odessa Arms pub and in Forest Gate, and this is where Linda's grandfather worked as the publican for quite some years. Linda's mum would take them round to the house, and Linda's nan, she was a small little lady, quite chubby like Linda. She really did look like Linda. But sadly with Annie, she'd had a fall in her late 50s, early 60s and broke her hip, and the operation went quite badly, and they had to take a small part of bone away from her leg, so she had a caliper for the rest of her life and one of those raised shoes, and it caused her absolute immense agony, this caliper. Linda saw her once in what they called the parlour, where the children dared never go, when she was seeing to it, and Linda peeked round the door and she was crying her eyes out. But every day, and Linda admired her nan for this, every day that woman would get down on her hands and knees and black the coal range and red the doorstep. She went, how the fucking hell she did that, I don't know. But yeah, Linda's mum would take them round. And another funny memory is, like, they went round once and Linda's granddad came in. He rolled up his sleeves, took his collar off, because they had the granddad shirts in those days, washed his hands. "What's for dinner, Mum?" And she put his dinner down on the table. He went, "Oh, get us a couple of saucers." So he started giving these bits of his dinner to the kids, and Linda's mum, Anne, went, "Oh, Dad, don't. You've been working hard all day. Give them your dinner, don't." And he went, "Nah, you look here, girl." He went, "This is my house." He went, I'll pay the money here." He went, "I'll pay for this food." He went, "If I want them fucking kids to have some of it, I will." And Linda was amazed, because no one, her mum was was quite a fiery woman who didn't normally get spoken to like that and put up with it, from what I've been told. And all she went was, "Yes, Dad." And Linda and her brothers just sat there stunned that this happened. So that's another memory to share. But they were good grandparents, Mr. Sharpen and Annie. Memories for Linda, happy memories, which I wanted to share with you. And the Odessa Arms pub is a lost pub of London. So, and you know I feature those on my page as well. So it was nice to show one as part of Linda's life. And unfortunately, this is what it's been replaced with. I don't like this kind of thing. I like old pubs, as you know. So, and the Odessa, I would have loved to have gone and visited the Odessa and had a drink, because after Linda's funeral today, my friends from Barking Church, we had a little get together, and me and Rob, we went to the bowling afterwards and had a drink, and said to him about the Odessa. He went, "Oh, we should have gone there." I went, "It's not there anymore, mate. If it had been there, I would have gone there and had a drink for Linda, but we went to the bowling instead." Another memories for Linda, the Smogs, and this is the early one. 1952 this is. So Linda would have been 6 when this happened, and I remember her telling me about this because she was very young, but she remembered it, and she said, "Oh, it was terrible." She went, "Mum had to wrap big handkerchiefs around our faces." She went, and it got so bad at some point you couldn't go out and you couldn't hang your washing out because it'd go black. Real fucking pea soupers they were. It was Linda's words. But this is the Great Smog of 52, the earliest one that she remembered. See the policeman with his mask on. Eerily familiar to our COVID masks, unfortunately. She didn't much approve of those either. "Useless fucking things. What's this going to do against any germ or disease?" When the nurse had to come and give her an injection, Linda was not impressed about having to wear a COVID mask and not being allowed to smoke in her own home. 1962, this is the one she most remembered, the smog of 1962, because Linda was working by this point at Charrington's, as we'll discover soon, and getting home from Charrington's in this was not easy. You literally couldn't see where road and curb was, and how Linda described it to me is this image, and it took me quite a while because I searched through lots of images to find an appropriate one, and this was perfect. Because Linda went from curb into road without knowing it, and then this bloke comes behind her with a flare torch. "Get out the road, lady, you're in the road, there's a bus coming." "Oh, fucking hell," she went and gets up onto the curb again. But she had to feel her way along the walls, the lamp posts. Some people would hold on to each other and walk along in a line. It was very, very bad. We might laugh or think, "Oh, it can't have been that bad," but they were really bad, the London smogs. And they were caused by all the coal smoke from the chimneys and factories and stuff like that. So London was a bit of a dirty, mucky place in those days. Rough and ready, as Linda always said. And now we move on to Linda's working career. And these are some of the happiest memories of her life, because she absolutely loved factory life at Charrington's. Charrington's brewery along the Mile End Road. And we catch a nice colour image of it here in the 60s, just when Linda would have been working there. It's the factory gate as she would have gone in each morning. And she really did love factory life, and she said we were all rough and ready girls. She went, most of us weren't that educated, she went, but we knew our jobs well and we loved it in there. We was like a little family. And she was very sad when Charrington's went. She worked there from early 60s until late 1970s when it closed. Here we see a nice colour image of it. Linda started work when she was around 15. Most people left school at that age at that time, and that was her first job, and she loved it, obviously, because she stayed there. And this picture I absolutely love, because this was Linda's job. She was a bottler washer. Basically, they would fill new bottles with the beer. Old bottles were sent back to be recycled. Sometimes those bottles would still be full of beer that had gone bad. And it was part of Linda's job, as you can see this lady doing here, to open up the bottles and pour this brown jelly-like substance that stank, absolutely stank, away. And Linda went, "Oh," she went, "That's soon, mate. Do you want to chuck up your fucking sausages?" And the sausages is another funny memory, actually. Linda, she was always a big girl. And she went, "Oh," she went, "I was a greedy cow." She went, "Daddy would do us a big breakfast in the morning." She went, "Then I'd get to work and I'd have another one." And a part of her favourite with the breakfast was these two big English sausages that she always loved. She went, oh, I don't know where they got them from. She went, they were the best sausages I've ever tasted. She went, they soon nearly fucking came back up when you got started in here though. And you see the wooden crates along there. When Linda first started, they had to wear like wooden clog shoes, because if you dropped one of these crates full of bottles onto your foot, you basically wouldn't have had much of a foot left. And she hated the clogs and didn't wear them a couple of times and got told off for not wearing them because they were very slippery. But yeah, and this is the bottling washing department where Linda worked. I did have a good scan through to see if we could see Linda amongst any of these people, but no, I couldn't. There's one lady with her back turned, but yeah, this is the world that Linda worked in and loved. Now we move on to the next set of happiest memories, which for Linda was her holidays with her dad. They had a lot of holidays away, you know, the little weekend breaks and things. Margate they went to regularly, it was one of their favourites. Really loved Margate. And that was one of her happiest memories. Margate Model Village, late 1970s this picture was taken. And she's wearing what she called a rah-rah dress. This was her rah-rah dress. I have no idea what a rah-rah dress is or was, but this is one of them apparently. And Linda loved windmills, so she was happy as Larry when they found this. Linda's dad went, oh, there's something you'll like here, Gil, and pointed her over to this. She went, oh, isn't it lovely? You'll have to take me a picture near it, which her dad did. And here is her dad, Stanley Theobald, or Stan as she always called him. And I went, God, didn't he look, when I first saw this picture, was some time ago, I went, God, didn't he look tall? She went, he was very tall. She went, he was a very tall man. She went, bloody hell could he eat? She went, and he always, till he, like the last year or two of his life, he always kept a trim figure like this. She went, I never know how he did it. She went, I always took after me nanny Annie. But yeah, this is Linda's dad, 1970s at Margate Model Village. The next happiest memory is a little bit later on. This is the late 1970s, and this is Linda and her dad Stan at Blackpool. And this was the holiday that they both loved the most. They absolutely loved Blackpool. They was planning to go back, but unfortunately Stan died not too many years after he retired. So yeah, but this Linda and her dad at the clubhouse in Blackpool. And as I say, this was Linda's ultimate favourite picture. This always hung on Linda's living room wall. And Linda's great niece cleared this picture up really well, and it's really brought it to life. It's just so nice to see. As you can see, Linda, as I said, with her favourite hair colour, and it's a nice little thing to remember as well. Their next holiday, unfortunately, their next big holiday that they planned, which was a weekend trip, and they didn't check. They went to Hastings out of season. And Linda's dad was not an impressed man. He just moaned because everything was closed. You know, what a fucking washout this turned out to be. So yeah, they didn't take to Hastings. So it's such a shame, Lynn, because I've been to Hastings and she saw pictures and videos of it. She went, oh no, if we'd gone like that, she went, Daddy would have loved it, especially Hastings Old Town. But yeah, that was a bit of a washout. But they went to Margate a couple of times in between. They were planning to go back to Blackpool. Stan retired when he was 65. He worked for Permanite, a chemical factory, and he retired when he was 65, and he died when he was 67, very, very suddenly. He went out one morning to get his pension and collapsed on the post office floor. The police came round to Linda's to tell her what had happened. They had to have an inquest and that, and the coroner told Linda that it would have been very quick and very sudden. He would have been dead before he hit the ground, basically, bless him. And Linda always said, oh God, I hope I go that way. She was terrified of the thought of dying, Linda. And she said, there must be nothing worse than laying there knowing you're going to die. And she got her wish because she went very quickly. And it seems wrong to say glad about, but I was thankful for that, at least. So yeah, this is another little happy memory I want to focus on. And look how happy she looks. She really loved that holiday. She always spoke about Blackpool. They went up Blackpool Tower. She wouldn't go all the way to the top because the stairs, you could see through them. And Linda did not like stairs you could see through, and she weren't great with heights either. So her dad went up to the top and came back down and went, oh, you could see everyone like little ants. And she went, oh, it made me feel sick. Yeah, but they enjoyed it, fish and chips and whatnot. Now we move on to the next part of Linda's life. Linda and her dad's life. Linda moved into 68 Ann Street with her dad after her parents separated in the 1960s. Early to mid 60s. I think she said it was 62. So she'd been here at the flat for quite some time. It's just a shame. They're doing work on stuff on it now. So yeah, this is 62 to 72 Ann Street, and that is where Linda lived. So on to the next part of our little story about Linda's life. And unfortunately, it is the saddest part, really. What got Linda to where she is now, bless her. I didn't want to focus on the fire. There were pictures taken after to show Linda in the hospital and the home where she was, the extent of the damage. I've deleted those pictures. I don't want memories like that. But this is a glimpse into the future and a little funny memory I will always have of Linda, because where this new big building is here in Ann Street, there were garages here and they knocked them down, and the noise that when they was building this, Linda did moan quite a lot. It was quite early as well, but she liked to grumble, Linda. She'd, oh, it helps with my stress. And I showed her this picture. She went, what the fucking hell they put that great thing there for? She would talk about, what is it, a pig's ear, a silk purse on a sow's ear. That's what she said. She went, it overshadows everything. Yeah, that was the memory I would prefer to focus on. But the fire happened. The place was basically damaged beyond repair. Linda went from there to Newham General Hospital, where she was for some time. She went from there to Meadow Farm Care Home at East Ham. Her niece got her a really lovely bungalow at Maryland, which is this here. This is the garden before I did any work on it. And this is the heartbreaking thing, really, because they got the garden looking like this, and took pictures, showed Linda, and she was absolutely, she really was pleased with it. She went, oh, that's lovely. She went, we'll get some little plants and things for out there. She wanted a little bird feeder and that. And we lost her the next morning. Yeah. As I say, she died on the 9th of August. It was very quick and very sudden. DVT, deep vein thrombosis. And she got her wish that she didn't linger. That much I am only grateful for. And what I'm also grateful for is that Linda spent her last days, her 9 days, in this lovely place. It really was nice, such a nice environment for her to spend her last days in. Yeah, as I say, she passed away on the morning, and it was very quick. And we said goodbye to her this afternoon. And that's where we're going to go now, onto the final journey, really, as seamlessly as I could keep it. I know some people do photograph funerals and things, interments and things like that, but that's not really my cup of tea. But I did stay after the funeral for when the earthing was done. I went well away, because that's not a sound I ever want to hear again. I've heard that once and I don't want to hear it again, so I went far away where I could see what was. When it was done, I went over, and the men that did it, the City of London Cemetery, were an absolutely lovely bunch of men. They really were nice, and things were beautifully done, and she was given such a lovely send-off. She really was. So let's go and pay our final respects to Linda now, shall we? Well, ladies and gents, this is the end of the road for Linda in this world, and our journey with Linda. We was able to go this far. She's gone on her way now to another place where we'll have to join her another time. A lovely funeral. Far more people came than we thought, so it was really nice. And look at the lovely flowers. She had such a beautiful send-off. She would have been very, very proud and honoured. She's buried with one of her England flags, and I put one under our wreath that we got. So she's got her England flag. She was a die-hard patriot, was Linda. I nearly said was England then, because she really loved England. She used to say on the census, I'm English, not British, I'm not Welsh or Scottish, but yeah. So, as I say, this is the end for Linda. Her name will be carved on the stone soon. This isn't the end of our little tribute, because I wanted to end off with something a little bit nicer from one of my journeys. One of the things that Linda actually enjoyed. She weren't a great one for churches, especially the big ones. She thought they were too imposing. But one of the things she did enjoy is the last little bit we're going to have. So it's a revisit. And a thank you to my friends for helping me with this one. So join me all for the last little bit of this tribute for Linda's life. And you all may be wondering what the promise was that Linda wanted us to keep. Linda was a very simple person, especially when it came to where she wanted to be at the end. All she wanted was to be buried with her dad. And most importantly, and this was the most important thing to her, to have her dog's ashes put in the coffin with her. The big dog's Wishy, and the little one is Billy. They're lovely dogs they were. Wishy would just knock you over with love. She was a big girl. And Wishy and Billy would just climb up all over you on the sofa. They were little sweeties, they were, but it absolutely broke her heart when they died. And they were cremated, and she kept their ashes. And after the fire, thank you to the council. I can't mention your names, I know, but thank you. If you ever see this video, thank you for letting me go in there and retrieve them, which they shouldn't have let me do, but they were decent, kind men, and they let me go in there and retrieve the ashes, and the promise was kept. Interestingly enough, and Linda would have liked this, a thing in the UK law to put animal ashes in with a human is illegal, but the law's to be played with sometimes, isn't it? Like a yo-yo, bless its little cottons. But yeah, that was the promise that I was glad to have kept. And take us on to the next part of our video now. And Linda, as old people often do, spoke about things like this. This is Linda's idea of heaven. And I was really sad about this. Near where the fire happened, on her wall was a drawing that I had done for her as one of her Christmas presents. It was a charcoal drawing of a little country cottage with a thatched roof, cats and dogs in the garden, and geese. It's what she wanted. And when she got the picture, she was really emotional. She went, oh, it's lovely. She went, when I die, she went, this is exactly where I'm going to go. And Linda always said, when I go, you can have that picture back. And I was going to have the picture back as a memento, but it was destroyed. I was absolutely gutted. But through the magic of artificial intelligence, which this image is, it was able, apart from the picket fence, to pretty much recreate. So this is where I like to think of Linda being, in a much better place than the one she's just left. In her little country cottage, in her garden with all her animals, and her geese, which she always wanted. I did explain to Linda that geese are really ferocious and vicious, so I got chased off by some once, which she found highly funny. She went, oh, I don't care, I still want them. And yeah, she loved animals, Linda. She had 16 cats at one point, and 2 dogs. And that was a big part of Linda's life in the flat, was her dogs and cats. I wish I'd taken more pictures, but I didn't. You don't think at the time, do you? But yeah, this is where we like to think of Linda being now, in a much nicer place. We're in the cemetery still, just leaving Linda's grave. Have a long walk to the front. And 2 of the things she loved most, foxes and birds. And that one popped out to say a little hello. So, as we say, onwards to the last part of our journey. This is the chapel we're looking at where Linda's service was, which I'll show you. It's a fine old chapel. I don't think we're going to have any more burials today. Well, it does shut at 6, so... Oh gosh, it's incredibly warm. I'll pause you till we get to the end because it's quite a long walk. Oh, goodness gracious me, this cemetery is much bigger than it looked. And this is that lovely chapel. And in Linda's liking. It's not very big. She didn't like big churches. She said, funny enough, about her dad's funeral, which I assume obviously would have taken place here, that the church wasn't too big. But this is the burial chapel. Now, this cemetery is vast and it's very old. And when I started my page, Linda said to me a couple of times, and I can just see her over on the other side now saying, see, I bloody well told you so. She said to me, oh, you'll have to go over to Daddy's cemetery. Oh, you'd love it over there. She went, there's so many old graves. She went, there's them big stone ones that look like stone garden sheds. She meant some mausoleums. This isn't one, that's a toilet. But I've walked past lots of mausoleums and some really interesting ones today. But today I'm not recording, I'm not exploring, shall we say. Today is all about Linda. This is that lovely church. No pictures today either from this one. This is just a dedication video. This is what you'll see hopefully this evening, if not tomorrow morning. As you can see, the Victorian Gothics, when they built something, they really went to town on it. It's a beautiful chapel, and I thought the sound of parakeets right nearby is something Linda would really like as well, so let's not end off at graves and things like that. But yeah, this is the chapel, as I say, and on to our last dedication to Linda now. So Lynn, something she remarked on once, and I didn't really think about it much. She went, oh, I remember when Nan was buried. She went, my granddad had the church bell rang for her. And Linda, she did have a funny laugh. She cackled. She went, ha! She went, no fucker, ring the church bell for me, I shouldn't think. Well, Lynn, you're very wrong. Very wrong indeed, girl. So, let me take you to the next part of our video. And that brings us to the end of the little story of Linda's life. I hope you've all found this as interesting as I enjoyed the memories, sharing the memories with her. We had our ups and downs, we had laughs, and this little final tribute is something, a special touch I wanted to give to Linda. Something that obviously happened in her family. I don't know when her nan died, but her granddad had the church bells rang for her nan, and she always joked that no one would have it done for her, and as I said, she was wrong. So a massive thank you to my friends at Barking Church for making this possible.